Hey Star Hunters, it's Oriansenshi. Welcome to today's video. Today's going to be a book report, haven't done one of those in a while, where I'm going to be exploring the Deluxe Heroes Handbook, and I'm going to be talking about what I think it does right, what things I think it could do better, and why I believe it's an amazing book that everyone who plays this game should definitely have. Stay tuned and let's get started. Alright guys, so like I said, today we're talking about the Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition Deluxe Heroes Handbook. Now, see it up here? Now, I did not mess with the original Heroes Handbook. When I first came in, my first book I got was actually the basic Heroes Handbook, and I dealt with stuff via PDFs and online releases of some online databases for a while until I finally got my hands on one of these, which I managed to get at a great deal at my local GameStop. I'm going to have a plug for them so you can check out their website, Gritty Goblin Games. They're my local game store where I go in order to play, so, you know, plug for them. Always doing that. Also, definitely want to take this second to give a quick thank you to Green Rona Publishing for being an amazing publisher for making this amazing game. So, now that we've got that out the way, let's jump into talking about this, okay? So, notes. Alright, so, last time I reviewed the Basic Heroes Handbook, and I talked about how I believe that for a lot of people who are just getting into the game, you should definitely just start with the Basic Heroes Handbook. It goes over pretty much everything except for a couple things, and it actually has notes about those things that it doesn't go over and says, okay, we're not going to touch on this, but you don't need to know that just to start. And once you get the Deluxe Heroes Handbook, it will go over all of these things in great detail. Now, what things does this introduce that are not in the Basic Heroes Handbook? So it introduces the concept of PowerPoints and the value that is at the core of the system. The Basic Heroes Handbook teaches you everything except really PowerPoints when it comes to character creation, because that's one of the hardest things to grasp, especially if you're coming from a non-point-based game, if you're coming from a class-based game. So that's one thing that can be really hard to wrap your head around. But after you've gotten used to everything else, learning PowerPoints and PowerPoint values just comes together really, really easily. Now, another thing it introduces is equipment and vehicles. Now, what are equipment and how are they different from devices? I touched on this in my last video, but just to paraphrase, and a device is like a superhuman, superpowered thing that gives you superpowers that you can apply extra effort to, that is a part of your character, and if, for whatever reason, you lose that device or you have it taken away from you or turned off, there is a consequence. Now, unless you have it set as removable or easily removable, at which point you're getting everything on that device at a huge discount in order to make sure that you're okay with the fact that sometimes it's going to get taken away from you. And equipment takes this a step further. Equipment is far cheaper. Like, you can get things at such a huge discount if you make them equipment. But the idea of equipment is something your character did not make and like that you just bought, that someone else made, right? And as such, it can break, it can be stolen very easily with no consequences. You're getting everything like at a huge discount in exchange for that. And vehicles are great ways to have speed powers, as well as, you know, really cool things to invest in, and they can add a lot of stuff to a campaign. Now, one thing this book also has is it has the first draft of the character generation system that we saw in the Basic Heroes Handbook. Whereas the Basic Heroes Handbook had a complete thing where it was just no points were listed, it would just pick this, this, or this, and it was super simple. This has a much more complex version that also has a setting on there so you can use a D20 to randomly generate the character completely from scratch, which is also kind of exciting. And everything in this book from the character generator in here is min-maxed to almost the extreme, and will use all 150 points of your PL10 characters. So if you're looking for a character generation system that's a bit more detailed than what you get in the Basic Heroes Handbook, but you don't want to go straight into hero points, make a thing from scratch, and you still want a guide, this book's character generation system is a really, really great way to do that, and it gives you a really nice jumping off point. I know I personally used it as the base for a lot of my stuff. Now, what else does it add? Well, this book, in other games, like in D&D, there is the player's handbook, and then there's there's the Dungeon Master's Guide, and then there's the Monster Manual. This is kind of all of that rolled into one, right? It has a lot of the stuff you would expect in a Game Master's Guide, in a Dungeon Master's Guide, in here as well, and it has all of the rules you need to be a player in here, and it has a lot of stat blocks and things about making enemies, and a lot of those rules, and a lot of that stuff that you would find kind of in a mini monster manual, and you see all of that rolled into one book, which makes this great value, and the fact that, legitimately speaking, if you actually know how to play the game, right? If you're not getting taught how to play the game from someone else, this book is literally all you need to play and run a game. Everything else is an add-on, but this book, more than any system I've seen, just has everything. Now, again, I've only played a certain number of things. I haven't touched Fate or any of that stuff, but like, this book just really hits the spot for me. Now, should everyone in the party have one? That is a very big question that, is like, does everyone need one, or does the Game Master be the only one that needs them? I honestly feel that, if possible, if you want to play this game, you should really invest in getting this book. Someone else, like maybe the Game Master only has to be the one to buy the basic Heroes Handbook, just so that way they can have that on hand and hand that to a new player and say, okay, you're a new player, let's just use this basic Heroes Handbook to really quickly go over how to play the game and make your character, and then after the first session or two, if the person wants to invest in buying a book for themselves after they know about the game, definitely suggest getting the Deluxe Heroes Handbook at that point. Now, if you want to get the basic Heroes Handbook, I'm not going to say don't get it. It's a great book. It's very enjoyable. I've read through it all the way through. The comics in the middle are really funny. Now, but another thing this book brings to the table is it has not one, but two exclusive adventures, completely prepackaged, start to finish, done, stat blocks, everything in the book. Huge. And that's great. Whereas the basic Heroes Handbook introduced a variety, I think it's like 4 different adventure things, 4 or 5 different adventure things. At least 2 to 3 of those weren't actually entire adventures. They were examples of different types of situations or pieces that you would use as part of an adventure, and explaining how to run through that, and they're very, very good. That's one of the things I really loved about the Game Master's Guide, was how it really laid out how challenges work by giving you scenarios you can use for some basic challenges and some good benchmarks of where to set your difficulty stuff, right? Which was really awesome, but there was only actually like 1 adventure in there that was a complete adventure, and even that one felt a little bit like forced or just a little off. These have 2 complete, well-written adventures. I haven't run through them myself, but they get some pretty good reviews. I overall very much recommend this book. I really enjoyed it, and I think you can find it online for like $40, and you know what? For an entire game in one book, that's not bad. Having this book also makes character generation a lot easier. I know a lot of people swear by Hero Labs. I did too when I first started, but I got really frustrated with all of the menus and how complicated Hero Lab was, and I wasn't about to drop all of this money on Heroes Labs when I could just go buy the book. What I did when I first started was I would make the character in Hero Labs, and then I would open a PDF of a fillable character sheet, and then just type all the stuff in the fillable character sheet from Hero Labs, so I wouldn't have to worry about saving it. But that just made editing a pain, and I wasn't really learning the game. Whereas once I got this and I was really delving into the book, and whenever I had a question, instead of being like, does it work in Hero Labs, I could look it up and read and explain a fully written out definition explaining what it was, how it worked, and why it worked. And that was huge for me. That was a huge game changer. That just made my life a lot simpler. And for that, I'm really grateful. The cons, the big thing that I am frustrated with this book. If you do not already have some basic idea about how Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition works, when you pick this book up, if there is no one to explain stuff to you, it is very, very easy to get lost. A lot of the introductory stuff is not really good, especially if you've never played a point-based game before. Like, I mean, okay, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying it is very easy for new players to get lost. Which, if you start with the basic Hero's Handbook and you have an understanding of the game, as soon as you understand how the game works, what things do what, how stuff works, when you pick this book up, it will be a breeze. You will go straight through. You will understand everything that you're working with. It just becomes a great reference and a powerful tool. But if you don't know, it can be very hard to just pick this up and go. So if, like, you have a friend who has never played Mutants and Masterminds before, and you want to get them involved in the game, I would suggest either getting them the basic Heroes Handbook before you get them this, or if you already, like, if you know how to play the game, run through a game with them, right? Give them a pre-built PL10 character, which there's some great PL10 characters pre-built in this book too. But give them a pre-built PL10 character, run through a basic scenario, run through a Fistful of Nazis scenario, right? Just so that way they get an idea of how the game works, and then get them this. Because if you don't give them some kind of a primer, it is really, really easy to get lost. But yeah, so that's been my review of the Deluxe Heroes Handbook. It is a great book. It is a wonderful resource. It is a powerful tool and a great value for the $40 you can normally find it for online. Check out your local game store. See if you can buy it from them. I know my game store told me that if I ordered it through them, they would give me like a 15% discount, which was amazing. Support your local game store. Have a blast. And yeah, about the channel, as you see, I got a 3rd video up this week. I'm going to be trying to get 3 videos up each week. Some of them might be good. I'm trying to really increase some stuff and work on improving my content and building. Hope you guys like the logo. That was designed by a friend of mine, Dreeworks. I'm going to have a link to her Instagram, I think, down in the description. Check that out. Check her out. She's an amazing artist, and she does really great work. She's designed a lot of the artwork you'll see floating around on this channel, from my banner and some of the stuff on my Twitch page. And yeah, so great artist, good friend of mine. Definitely check her out, and you know, give her some love, give her some likes and some stuff. And gonna be working on more Let's Plays. Monday, I'm going to have my next video, which is going to Monday night. I'll try to get it Monday morning. It's probably gonna be Monday afternoon. Is gonna be my next video, which is going to be the PL10 Super Leon from later in the Resident Evil series, around somewhere between 4 and 7, around there, and 4 and 6. But yeah, don't mind me. I'm just rambling at this point. I'm still working on the design for the Leon video. And yeah, have a great time, everybody. And always remember the motto: shoot through the stars, have wonderful adventures, live your dreams, and always, always, always enjoy you some memes. Have a good one, everybody.